Hey guys, welcome back to As a Man Thinketh on Yanasa TV. With all the news that started last Friday, I'm sure that many of you probably missed some of the other stories that were happening here in the United States domestically. So I wanted to bring this up to your attention because this is actually a very important story. Across the heartland of the United States, there's a battle going on right now. This is a battle for energy policy, property rights, and political influence. And it took a dark turn last weekend. Probably one of the most focal points of this battle is the Summit Carbon Solutions pipeline that runs through multiple states. So the scope of this project aims to collect carbon dioxide from roughly 57 ethanol plants and ship it through a sprawling pipeline network across Iowa, Minnesota, Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota. The final destination is an underground storage deep beneath western North Dakota. And I don't believe that the farmer really wants there. They've invested $1 billion so far. This is an $8.9 billion project, including $175 million in payments to more than 1,300 Iowa landowners. They've had a lot of permitting already approved for this. They had a patchwork of permitting already approved in Iowa and have already started in those areas. They have been denied in South Dakota, and it's kind of an ongoing thing in Nebraska. It's the largest pipeline of this kind to have ever been proposed. And a lot of property owners, a lot of state representatives have been against this pipeline using eminent domain to take farmland from farmers. Many of you have noticed that we keep wearing these leather patch hats that say defend the right to farm on them. These leather patch hats support our nonprofit, Meet My Neighbor Productions. You can get your hat at Yanasa Trading Co. and help us defend the right to farm through education, outreach, and, as we've been doing over the last couple of years, farm relief efforts. So get your leather patch hat and let others know that you defend the right to farm. The pipeline itself does not serve what we would consider the historical context of what pipelines and utilities would normally serve. It is storing carbon under the ground, and the concept of this is basically to take carbon that's produced by ethanol plants and then store it under the ground to make them more environmentally friendly. Because carbon is the gas of life, and allowing that to escape out into the world is a horrible thing. Whether or not this pipeline benefits the public is at the center of this. Does it actually benefit the public? A lot of people would say no. It does benefit private developers, and I think this is something we run into across the country all the time. When we get into economic development, private developers, it could be a mess. The consensus has been in states like South Dakota that it does not benefit the public, and therefore they cannot use eminent domain. If they want to build their pipeline, they're going to have to get permission from the property owners, and if there's a property owner who doesn't want to give permission, they're just going to have to simply go around. In Iowa, that's been the case as well, and they actually passed a bill in Iowa that said pretty much, you cannot use eminent domain for these reasons. So this is House File 639. It's known as the Landowners Bill. The Iowa legislature passed House File 639 in early June. Its provisions tightened requirements for using eminent domain. Pipeline companies would have to be common carriers. That means that they would have to be carrying something of common use, water or oil or gas. We don't all use CO2. We emit it, but we don't all use it.
Ancient eras and natural selection have refined and tailored pristine fibers with the resilience for today's days. Evolving beyond the last ice age, bison wool is nature's most dependable activewear. Buffalo Wool Company, 100% proven by nature, 100% American made.
Check out the Buffalo Wool Company collection at yanasatradingco.com. The bill limited CO2 pipeline permits to a single 25-year term, required strict insurance coverage, and this is important because I have done videos on this. I get censored every time I talk about it, but there have actually been CO2 pipeline ruptures that have devastated towns, poisoned people. This is not, even though it's the gas of life, when it's transported in this particular manner, it can be extremely dangerous. And the bill also makes renewing these permits harder, the stricter requirement. For rural landowners, some now in the receiving end of lawsuits from Summit, it was a bipartisan win. And I want to get into that just a little bit. The lawsuits from Summit, you have land, you decide, no, I don't want your pipeline on my land, and you get sued. What right do they have to do it? There's been a lot of reporting on this particular pipeline, a lot of controversy around it because of Summit's reportedly aggressive tactics. Okay, so this is what people have been reporting. This is what's been in the news. Summit has filed at least 232 eminent domain lawsuits. That that means that they have filed several hundred lawsuits against property owners to take rights away from them. Landowners have said that Summit has been intimidating and threatening to them as well. According to Leroy Braun, a South Dakota farmer, and this was reported by Newsday, if you don't sign, we're going to file eminent domain on you and you're going to get nothing compared to what we're offering you. And that's a typical threat. I hear that a lot. If you don't accept our offer now, when we go to eminent domain, you're going to get even less. And that's because they're trying to save money on their legal fees. But it goes more than that. They've actually filed injunctions on people for speaking out against their pipeline. They've tried to silence any opposition to the pipeline. Summit's attorney sent cease and desist letters to at least 6 critics, including activists, farm broadcasters, demanding retractions for false and defamatory statements. Farmer Jared Bosley faced a court motion by Summit to hold him in contempt after a confrontation with surveyors, further escalating tensions. There's also been a lot of reports of armed security guards, and I have seen videos and pictures of these armed security guards, even though Summit refutes the fact that there are armed security guards out while they're doing work. But they have, from what I have seen videos, I have seen pictures, I have seen news reports with security guards present. So, they say one thing, visuals tell you another. The fact that Summit is doing this to people and filing complaints, suing people, that just tells you a little bit about Summit Pipeline. So what happened over the weekend that was such a big deal? That bill I was talking about in Iowa was vetoed by Kim Reynolds, the Republican governor of Iowa. And why did she veto it? She says that it was too far overreaching, that the bill had gone too far, and it would hinder economic development in the state of Iowa. A lot of governors will use these type of tactics, that's her opinion, to try and veto bills and things that have come to their desk from other elected officials. The majority of the House obviously voted in favor of this bill, the landowner rights bill, and the intention, it wouldn't shut down Summit's $8.9 billion project, but it would make it harder for Summit to proceed going further. And that's where I don't think that necessarily the bill went too far. But the point is that Kim Reynolds said, you know what, I'm vetoing this. You guys are going too far. Why would Kim Reynolds go against all of her other legislative colleagues? I mean, and most of the colleagues who voted in favor of the bill were from the same party. Why would she go against it? It almost seems like political suicide for her in this particular situation to go up against the landowners of the state of Iowa and to go up against her own party members in the state of Iowa. So behind the scenes of all this, there are fingerprints of very big political donations. And I talked about this in a video last year when I started covering the story. There are significant political contributions that go into a lot of these things. And that's lobbying. Like, that's how people get things done, and that's why people like you and I, who are the voters, have to be very cautious of who we're putting into office, because anybody who can be influenced by lobbying groups don't have our best interests at heart. And I don't think that Kim Reynolds has the best interests of Iowans at heart, especially when the landowners are against this. And this is a bill, mind you, that protects landowner rights. So you can kind of rephrase that into saying, hey, Kim, you just vetoed a bill that protects the rights of your constituents. Why would you do that? Yeah, it might make it a little harder for Summit, but they can still get the job done. They just, can't jump over everybody and abuse the system. So Bruce Rastetter is the founder of Summit Carbon Pipeline Solutions, or Summit Agricultural Group. He's one of Iowa's most prolific political donors. Between 2018 and 2022, he donated at least $150,000 to $189,000 to Governor Reynolds. He donated even more to House Speaker Pat Grassley and Senate Majority Leader Jack Whitver. Other Summit and Navigator Pipeline executives have contributed to the same top GOP leaders. So you've got not just him, but other people involved in this project, like a money donating machine, and it is going into a lot of GOP leaders in these states. But you know what else Summit did that's actually rather brilliant is they hired former chiefs of staff for the current governor as well as the previous governor to work on their project. So they have some of the best insiders that they can possibly get. I mean, money talks, and they can buy whoever they want to work for them. I mean, that's what they're doing. They're hiring people, right? And these people have some deep connections and a lot of knowledge about the people that they worked for. I mean, imagine what you could accomplish if you had inside knowledge to the governor, everything that they've been involved with, all their dealings. You hire their ex-former chief of staff. Normally, they're no longer the chief of staff for other reasons, but suddenly you have a playbook that's bigger than them because you're donating to their campaigns heavily, and a couple $100,000 is a lot to me. I don't know what it is to you, but it's a lot to me. And then when you funnel that through with other donors who are following your suit, and then you hire people who know about them intimately. There's nothing illegal about this, by the way. And I don't think it should be. I think that companies should be able to hire the best talent they possibly can. I'm not saying Summit's doing anything illegal. Lobbying isn't illegal. Making campaign donations isn't illegal. The problem actually lies within the politician who is easily influenced by these things. They can make a donation to me all they want to. It's not going to change what I say or my opinion. So, the former Governor Branstad, I believe a lot of the people he has appointed to the utilities board are the ones who have been overseeing the permitting process. And obviously, Kim Reynolds vetoing this bill that seems like it is a supportive bill of her constituents. A lot of that has drawn a lot of criticism because of the funding, because of the connections that this company has made through its hiring processes. This company has played political power to its favor, and I think that, like I said, they're doing what any company would do. There's nothing that they're doing, in my perspective, that is illegal. But they're playing this game hard. They're playing this game heavy, and again, the problem lies more with the people who can be influenced by it, whether they have something hanging over their head, maybe they're chief of staff, I don't know, or maybe it's just they enjoy those campaign contributions, or I mean, it could be that she just sincerely believes that something that is in the best interest of her constituents is not in the best interests of Iowa. I mentioned Pat Grassley, okay? He has received political donations, but he is the one that's actually leading the charge in a lot of this. And so he is working around the clock to try and pull people together to undo Kim Reynolds' veto. The veto pretty much just kind of pauses the bill, but they have the right to overturn the veto. So now that's basically kind of the next step in this process is Grassley is leading efforts to help overturn the veto. Now, even Kim Reynolds has asked the utilities board to adapt some of the things voluntarily that were in the bill, like requiring public meetings, having more involvement from the commissioners, common sense things, really. But for a lot of Iowans, the trust is broken. Like, why would you have vetoed a bill that would have required them to have more public meetings, to have more commissioners present during the meetings? That doesn't make any sense to a lot of people. because of this, as you can imagine, a lot of Iowans are already working towards the 2026 elections. I think that what Kim Reynolds did was, a kind of it could be a career-ending move as governor of Iowa, and that's why it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me why she did what she did. And because of that, it makes you question, the overall system, the campaign donations, and the fact that some of these people's previous senior staff are working for Summit. It just brings a whole ethical question all the way around. But like I said, there's nothing illegal about hiring who you want to hire, and that person having previous ties to a current sitting governor. There's nothing illegal about that. They're just playing the game really, really well. But this is just another example of how this green movement, corporate clout, political dealings, and money are reshaping rural America, and it doesn't have to make sense to all of us. We're basically, carbon. Summit Solutions is getting paid by tax dollars. You and I mean, that's how they get paid for storing carbon. It's a tax credit that comes off of the CCC from the Biden administration. It's still there. I don't know why we, haven't done anything to appeal it, but the fact that they can collect money for storing what is essentially the gas of life under the ground, um, I don't understand personally how it really benefits the ethanol industry. I haven't heard of somebody saying, I'm not going to put ethanol fuel in my car because it creates CO2. I mean, nobody stopped putting gasoline in their car. I think it's going to be interesting to watch this pipeline progress unfold in the years to come and see who ends up winning out. It's a battle. Depending on which state you're in, they're all everybody's fighting this thing. But are we going to end up in a situation where corporate greed, basically, collecting on taxpayer dollars for a green energy movement, that is basically just a coined slogan for an excuse to get a cut of the government's tax dollars? Are we going to let them take control and reimagine rural America, or are we going to see a shift back to, valuing property rights, valuing the independent investment that people have made in their land and their stewardship? And I think a lot of that's going to come down to us as consumers, us as people who vote in all of these elections. If I can't find a way to agree with Kim Reynolds on her reasoning for vetoing the landowners' Bill of Rights, that I wouldn't put her back in. Stay tuned. I'll have more stories out for you here on Unas TV.